information, advice, mediation, representation and support for all members of the community regardless of race, gender, age, sexuality or disability. They help people with their problems in welfare, benefits, debt, consumer issues, employment, housing, legal, relationship, tax, utilities, community care, education, health and immigration. Their aim is to ensure that individuals do not suffer through lack of knowledge of their rights and responsibilities or of the services available to them, or through an inability to express their needs effectively, and equally to exercise a responsible influence on the development of social policies and services both locally and nationally. And in this year that's coming to an end very, very soon, Mr. Mayor, they expect that they will have seen 4,200 new unique clients, around 3,004 of them of which live in the borough. And they expect the 3,400 people from working borough will need help with around 7,800 new issues. In challenging all these fantastic challenges, meeting these challenges, they ran into some sort of a deficit on their budget, around about £5,000, but they've been helping themselves, setting up local groups, fundraising activities to meet that shortfall. Thank you, Mr.
Fine. Karen, may I also compliment you and your group on the support you've given the Mayor's charity this year? Absolutely first class, so thank you so much. I know what you do is good work. Simon, you wish to speak?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify to prove thank you for mentioning the Councillor Baptist Church Advisory Board which I serve on. I'm afraid that the scheduled meeting of the church, the advisory board was postponed due to a bereavement, and myself and other members of the advisory board agreed that it should be changed to the end of April, and when it's taken place I'll be happy to issue a report, but I saw no report issuing that date.
And may I also pick up the point you made about the Barclay Museum of Aviation, which is me, okay? And two problems with that organisation I've had. One is they give about a week's notice to a meeting, 2 weeks sometimes, and it's very difficult for the mayor to do that. And the last time I was due to go there, I found my wife in hospital with pneumonia, so they were priorities. So I apologise, but I just but well spotted. Well spotted. By somebody anyway. Okay. Pauline, I think Pauline, do you want to speak?
Just quickly.
I think it's your turn.
Mine, is it? Sorry, I've got a buzz. I'd just like to point out the National Conference and Archives and the fantastic work that Berkshire Archives do, and just to congratulate them on their national accreditations and archive. They're getting some very major archives being distributed there or being left there, including Summons Brewery National Collection of Letterbox Collection. And finally, they're also getting funding to maintain archives from places such as Coles Hill. They're doing a fantastic job. They're nationally important, and of course we support them as a council. I'd just like to congratulate them and also mention that they get 100% satisfaction from their customers. So if you ever want to do any research, it's a great place to go.
Okay, thank you, Pauline. David, you were the seconder. Do you want to sum up?
No, thanks.
Charlotte, would you like to sum up? Somebody say something.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've said everything I needed to say, but thank you very much for everybody, for everyone's contribution to the outside bodies this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, members, can we have a member standing?
Sorry about this. Again, it's made 4222, Mr. Mayor. Earlier on, you gave Councillor Ashwell, you gave into Councillor Ashwell's request to move a question to earlier in the evening. We are now in danger of having none of the motions taken because of the amount of business, so I would therefore ask that you move the motions to be the next item of business.
We need a seconder for that.
Yes.
Right. There's a proposal to move the motion to the next item from Brew Bray. Those in favour of that, please show. And those against, please show. That's four, I'm afraid.
You are cowards.
No, they're Democrats. We voted. No, sorry. Look, I was not going to make that decision. It's for the members to make that decision, and they have. You were able to put your proposal. Chris Smith.
Sorry, I object to be called a coward here. These are the standing rules of this council. We made a one-off exception to allow students to be able to get home at a decent time after they've come to this council to kind of to support what's going on. But I would also say that we have some member questions next, which are ward-specific matters. This is something for all members, not just those speaking on petitions. So I think those are, I would say, are more important than the motions.
Thank you,
And it's the way we've arranged this council.
Chris, thank you. We're not going to change the order. We voted against it. Okay? Right. Have we... I don't think we've actually voted on outside bodies, have we?
Yes.
Have we done that? I didn't think we had. I don't think we had. Now, it's been proposed, and then it got interrupted. So those in favour of the... please show. That is unanimous. Almost.
No, it's not.
It's carried.
The most attempted vote.
Right. Item 89, stated by the leader, executive members and deputy executive members. Who would like to speak? I love using this hammer. Now let Graham take those arms that are up. Would you please allow the Deputy CEO to take the names? Right, now members, you're not going to get the board questions, but okay. Statements by the leader. Is it Michael first? Is the leader on there? I think the leader should go first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I just
Thank you,
wanted to...
members. Hang on, Charlotte. Can we have a bit of silence for the speaker, please? Go on. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I just wanted to start by saying I fully support what Councillor Chris Smith said. It really has been a delight and a real privilege to see so many young people here in the chamber tonight. And you know, it's great to see Maisie and Lily presenting a petition and having such courage to stand in front of all of us tonight. And by moving them forward in the agenda, I think that was absolutely the right decision. And also moving the questions forward, again, was the right decision, because we have to take consideration about when they want to go home. And you know, it's not about being selfish, it's actually about being considerate and hearing young people's voice here. And we all have a responsibility to do that. And I hope that in future we'll have many, many more young people coming here. And hopefully they will be our future politicians. And just again, it really has been delightful to have them here.
Thank you very much.
This will be the last meeting for a number of members, and I just wanted to start off by saying Councillor Bob Pitts, Councillor Alison Swaddle and Councillor Paul Swaddle will be all stepping down in these elections in May. Councillor Pitts, from the wilds of Rumney, Ruscombe and Walbury, contributed to improving outcomes for children in care and represented the borough at the Royal Berkshire Hospital, and capped off his years on this council by serving as mayor, where I know he had great success in raising money for MenCap, his chosen charity. Councillor Alison Swaddle has been a real stalwart for her area and has always gone the extra mile for her residents on individual issues that have come into her inbox. She has been key in getting the plans for the rebuilding of Bullmarsh Leisure Centre just right, and has served all too briefly as the Deputy Executive Member for Children's Services. Lastly, Councillor Paul Swaddle has been our resident expert on the Constitution, and possibly only second to none to Andrew Moulton and Anne Hunter in his knowledge of procedure. Who else could be there to point out to opposition members that points of orders isn't an opportunity to make a long speech? Mr. Mayor, I am of course aware that you too will be stepping down in May, but seeing as I'm told that you're going to remain Mayor for the next meeting, I'm going to come back then and say something hopefully favourable and very brief, if I may be permitted, Mr. Mayor.
As I taught him to be
But of course we are on the cusp of election season and next week PERDA starts. This is where we all get to head out and sell our versions of an alternative vision for this borough. And I have no doubt that as the leader of the opposition, he can speak for himself, for his group. But now let me talk about what some of the priorities of the Conservative Council and how we will deliver for our borough. It's simply not good enough to deny those who don't currently enjoy the dream of owning a property the right to call a house a home. At the same time, we do not want to be swamped by houses in the wrong places that are simply unaffordable. We have and continue to put pressure on the government to change planning rules around land banking, and we've seen some positive signs of change from the Secretary of State. Our fight for a fairer system will continue. We are committed to providing public transport and roads to help residents make journeys that they need with a minimum of inconvenience. That's why we are investing £124 million to develop major new roads in the borough, as well as investing in alternatives to car journeys. Our area is constantly shifting and changing, and we need to adapt to meet the needs of our population as it evolves. We will deliver on a regeneration that not only breathes new life into Wokingham Town, but it will also bring in new money that will be invested into our vital services throughout the borough. As our budget was passed last month showed, we are investing in this borough. We will sensibly manage this council's finances, driving efficiency and exploring every opportunity for innovation. Following on from our meeting with the Prime Minister and other local MPs last week, the Chief Executive, Councillor McGee Sumner, and I met with Rishi Sunak, the local government minister, to raise the issue of council finance. Not only were our ideas positively received, but the Minister has agreed to work with us on schemes to encourage innovation and recognise productivity that can be piloted in Wokingham Borough. We will be meeting him again in May. This is the real strength of this Conservative administration. A Conservative council talks and a Conservative government listens. We don't do the politics of protest. We don't believe in empty rhetoric and heartfelt sentiments without any substance to improve things for the benefit of local people. Our residents want to see action, and our records show that we have delivered and continue to deliver for Wokingham Borough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. David Lee, no less.
Thank you very much. I was going to tell you all about the good news about our housing numbers, but I've already done that. What I would like to just say is I was very disappointed this morning to listen to Radio Berkshire, and I would like to correct a totally misleading and I believe politically naive statement made by Councillor Clive Jones on Radio Berkshire and indeed in the Wokingham paper. He was talking about this council's application to the Housing Infrastructure Fund for 300 million to provide much needed and vital infrastructure for our borough in respect of a possible development of Graiseley. Councillor Jones said, these are the exact words, they, that is your council, will get 300 million in infrastructure. There will be a 450 million shortfall. It will land on the doorstep of council taxpayers. He then went on to say, I am sure local people are going to be campaigning against this, and myself, as the Liberal parliamentary candidate, will be supporting them. Councillor Jones knows, or should know, that the shortfall he refers to will be met by developers to provide the infrastructure that would be needed should Graiseley be selected as a development site, just as this authority has done on all our current development sites. This authority has forced reluctant developers to accept their responsibilities and provide the necessary infrastructure on their developments by ensuring they make the required contributions, which now equate to some 38 to 40,000 per unit. They were formerly £5,000 per unit. We've got no infrastructure. And any developer on Graiseley will also contribute the infrastructure required. It's called Community Infrastructure Levy. Just to remind you of what has been achieved by forcing developers to accept this Conservative policy: 7 primary schools, 1 new secondary school, a new motorway M4 bridge, 2 railway bridges, numerous country parks, 6 new major roads, the first in 30 years, some 500 affordable houses. If Councillor Jones or any of his colleagues would like a workshop on SIL, I will be delighted to arrange it. This is how you look after residents, by providing the vital infrastructure and not by telling incorrect facts.
Thank you very much. Councillor Keith Baker.
Thank you. I'm very pleased that we did move the questions forward to allow the youngsters to leave early, because I would not have wanted them to see the constant bickering and accusations that we get from the opposition, calling us cowards. That is absolutely the wrong sort of behaviour for those youngsters to see from our council. So, Prue, I will be...
Could you tell me the correct words then, Mr. Mayor, for somebody who runs away from a debate?
Liberal.
I will. And Prue, I will be giving you new information, not repeated as you accused me of. So, first of all, in a few days' time, the successful Woodley trial, where 10p was added to the 1 hour charge in the council car parks, will be implemented in all the remaining council-run car parks. To counter this extra cost to our residents, the £1 charge for evenings and weekends has been suspended for the length of the trial. This trial will last for 12 months, and at the end of that period, the impact on the volume of tickets, the income, and the accumulated length of stay will be reviewed. Based on that review, the appropriate response will be taken, which could be anything between making the change permanent, to reverting the charges back to what they are today, and anything in between. At the same time, the free after 3 offer will be dropped. I'd just like to add a little bit more about the residents' parking scheme review. The consultation document, I've already mentioned that will have potential options for the new scheme. That will have in it benefits and the disadvantages of that particular option. So, for example, a lot of people talk about a visitor's permit. That obviously has the benefit of allowing visitors to visit a resident, but the key disadvantage is it is yet more cars competing for a finite number of parking bays. The output of that consultation will be used to inform the new scheme, which will be targeted for the July executive. Today, I received notification of 4 potential new controlled pedestrian crossings in the Matthews Green part of Wokingham. The locations have gone out to consultation to a large number of stakeholders, including all the local councillors. Can I urge those local councillors to make comments, as this is your chance to influence where they can be installed. I do not want to stand here and hear some of those councillors saying, we didn't know about this, we weren't consulted, yet again the Conservatives are not engaging us. Following a series of comments about the traffic in Wiltshire Road, a temporary traffic regulation order has been issued, lasting 6 months to provide additional no waiting stretches of road around the Wiltshire Drive area. Again, local councillors have been notified of this action, and I hope to actually talk about more temporary traffic regulation orders to address some of the key issues we've got around parking and antisocial parking. It's a good way to trial it, and it doesn't have to go through the sorts of hoops the permanent TRO has to. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Simon Lee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really wanted to echo what my colleague David Lee was just talking about, and that is the fact that so many of the houses that have been delivered in the last few years and are going to be delivered in the coming decade are through our strategic development locations, which, as we know, are actually being delivered with a really rich infrastructure which is funded by the developers. It's probably for that reason that as a council, Wokingham has been shortlisted for the UK Housing Awards in the Strategic Housing Delivery category. And last Friday, I accompanied senior officers to London, where we pitched our case to the panel of judges and answered their very significant number of detailed questions. And I'll update you when we have the results, which are going to be on the 2nd of May, which appears to be the day before another significant event. Another point I just wanted to mention was I will bring the details to a future meeting, but I've just had a review of the annual New Homes Survey that is conducted by the council. Members will be aware this has been now conducted, I think, for 6 years, and it's a survey that goes to all the new residents in the new properties that are built and asks for their views on the properties, all aspects of that, in order that we can try and see that we are building the right type of properties for the right people. I'm very pleased to announce that the latest results for this year show a further improvement in the people who are satisfied, very satisfied with their new homes, getting very close to 90% now, with 1 or 2 specific sites achieving 100% satisfaction levels. And it's very interesting to note that those sites that have a poorer result are sites that were granted on appeal. These are sites that we did not consider to be up to the mark, and guess what? The residents are echoing those views. I'm also particularly pleased to announce that as part of that New Home Survey, we of course included all the residents of the new affordable homes, which we're building and others are building on our behalf in ever increasing numbers. And the actual results on the affordable homes are actually higher than the market homes. So that's quite an exceptional result. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Julian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to update members on the 21st Century Council and the 4 programme outcomes that we set. The first one was improving outcomes for our residents. We promised to focus on customer experience and, where possible, deal with any customer requests at the first point of contact, and thus saving the need for the customer to have to repeat the information back to us. The good news is that we now deal with over 90% of these inquiries either at the first point of contact, or where if it is something more complicated at WBC, then they do not need to repeat the information a second time. The second point is the right people, processes and systems. We have restructured our management team. We have removed any waste and duplication, which allows us to focus on getting the right people into the right contact posts, ensuring that we have the right tools to deliver their role and their systems be relevant for the 21st century. I'm happy to report that these changes are progressing well. The changes we have made not only allow our officers to respond faster, but also allows the customer to report issues to us in a more convenient way, such as electronically, at a time convenient to them, which also allows them to track the issues and see how the matter is progressing. The third point is make the council more efficient. We continue to invest in new technology which allows our officers to be more efficient and spend their time where they are most needed. This ensures the customer gets the response they need and remains fully appraised at every step of the way. Phase 1 is already delivered and Phase 2 will be delivered in 2 tranches and will continue until September 2018. Changes within people services meant further work needs to be done to ensure the teams are fully equipped to deliver the services our residents expect, and these will be delivered towards the end of the year. And number 4, continue to meet our statutory requirements. We are committed to delivering better customer services, which will make it easier and quicker to transact services with the council, whilst allowing us to better target our resources needed by our customers and residents. We recognise that our residents value the service they receive from the council, and whilst we remain the lowest funded authority, David said I had to get that one in the country, we are committed to continuing to serve our residents and their families. These changes will make Woking Borough Council one of the most efficient councils in the country. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. I'd like to preview the 2 reports I'm taking to our executive for its approval next Thursday. These are 2 of the most worthwhile and proactive initiatives that I've been involved with since becoming a councillor nearly 4 years ago. I'm now able to present to the executive for its approval a policy that will give council tax exemption to our very own recruited foster carers, those recruited by us for us. It delivers a positive public message that foster carers are massively valued and that our council is supporting local residents meeting local needs. This is also an amazing investment to save, as a newly recruited in-house foster carer saves us an incredible £450 per week per child. That's £235,000 per annum, as opposed to using independent fostering agencies. And I'm also presenting a policy that will give council tax exemption to Wokingham Borough care leavers. We are all corporate parents to youngsters in our care, and when they reach the age of 18, they are then our care leavers. This cohort has over-representation of being in custody, being in homelessness, in poor mental health, and a tendency for substance abuse. This is a fantastic way of helping them take the edge off of this transition and ease them into adult life. I'm asking for approval up to the age of 21 years. This while I go away, with the help of my fabulous critical friends and colleagues in Children's Overview and Scrutiny, to work up a sliding extension from 21 to 25 years, with the discretion to full exemption if necessary. And this is to encourage the responsible transition into adulthood that we're all seeking as corporate parents, one and all. I have two other policies I'd like to very briefly highlight, please, and that's the Primary Schools Places Strategy. And this is to look at the need for primary schools places against the short, medium and long-term planning horizons. I'll set up an informal cross-party project group to consider the short term being Woodley right now, and the medium term being our strategic development locations. Woodley has seen an increasing demand and has an active housing market, and the next wave of potential primary schools and our SDLs is upon us. These schools could open as early as 2020. The project groups would consist of interested members, i.e. Woodley, and key stakeholders, e.g. schools, parish town councils, and I'm looking to take this to executive later this year. And then lastly, our secondary schools places strategy, Councillor Pittock. In recognition of the pressure that's potentially been created in secondary schools around the borough with the success of Bow School, this will lead to this will follow the lead of the more pressing primary school strategy, but it will involve a similar informal cross-party project group consisting of interested members and stakeholders. This, Your Worship, I'm also looking to take to executive this year, so you can hear we're enjoying being incredibly busy in children's services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're almost out of time, members. We've got time for just one more speaker, to be brief, and it's going to be Richard Delinsky. Richard, you only have how much?
It's all right.
5 minutes you have.
Yeah, that's fine. I've had a cold.
A couple of minutes again.
Okay, I've had a cold through my notes anyway. As many of you know, working social care services and the Berkshire Healthcare Foundation Trust integrated their front door services in June 2016. And since this time, professionals and working residents have benefited from much more of an efficient and effective system. Callers are able to make inquiries for health and social care services to a single number and have access to a range of professional advice, information and support. This includes nurses, physiotherapists, occupational therapists and social workers. I'm pleased to report that the service continues to show an extremely high level of customer service and customer satisfaction levels, and with an increasing success in first-time fix for adult social care contacts. I think this is really exciting. As we move forward towards an integrated care system across the NHS, our model is being seen as an example of best practice. And finally, on social housing, only this week we've introduced an updated version of the council tenancy agreement for our tenants. We've consulted with tenants and have taken into account changes in legislation and have incorporated best practice. This best practice is going to deliver a better service for our residents. Just quickly, I just want to say a big thank you. Just really quickly, I just want to say a big thank you to the officers in Adult Services and Health. They've been fantastic in supporting me as a new league member. So big thank you to them.
Thank you very much. We have how much time left? We have 4 minutes left, so we can take a couple of statements from council and the companies, and then the last minute of the meeting I'm going to steal myself. Anthony, you have 1 minute.
If we're going to have that council loan companies, could I ask, and we're only going to get one of them, could I ask that we start with Gary?
Yeah. Can I start with Gary? I can start with Gary. I'm going to finish with Gary as well. Gary, to start and finish.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be relatively quick. London Homes Limited continue to work on making sure the housing management, care and catering arrangements at Foster's Extra Care Scheme are all working well for the new residents moving into Foster's. An open afternoon was well attended by councillors and some council officers in advance of the formal opening planned for April this year. It was good to be able to see the building and speak informally to the residents, and my thanks go to all the members and officers who attended that day. Work is also taking place to ensure the housing management and care arrangements for 52 Reading Road are in place for young care leavers due to start moving in from April 2018. Initial meetings between Woking Borough Council Housing Services, Social Services and the appointed care provider P3 have been taken along with the first allocations panel meeting. Work is continuing with Housing Solutions on the sale of shared ownership units at Elizabeth Road and Barrack Crescent, due to be handed over at the end of March. One of the 2 units at Elizabeth Crescent has already been reserved following independent valuation, having now been undertaken to price the homes for sale. These are higher than our assessments during the appraisal stage of the development, so this should outperform Modern Homes business plan expectations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we've run out of time this evening, members, where there'll be no time for more questions. What I would just like to say, though, myself, is first of all, I just want to thank John Kaiser for being terrific support to me over the last month when both my wife and I were very ill, and he covered me brilliantly. I thank you very much for that. I also want to thank the support I've had from Graham Eaders over 16 years. He's been terrific and he's very good to work with up here. So Graham, thank you very much for me. And of course you could never ever run this council without Anne Hunter. And her superb assistant, Madeline Shopland. Now Madeline, as you know, is an ace Reading football team fan. And she's currently in a little bit of mourning, really, as they're in the relegation zone. I do wish you better luck, Madeline. But I have to say, those two are brilliantly supportive of us, of all of us. And thank you so much, Graham, for everything you've done for years. Thank you. I think the time's up, isn't it? It is. I haven't got a funny... You've heard the last of me. You've heard the last of me. I've had the last word. Thank you very, very much. The meeting is now closed.